Welcome to another episode on the Spiritual AI podcast. I'm happy to have you guys back here. I am your host, Leonie Du Toit. If you haven't been on the podcast before, I'm happy to have you here and happy to meet you. Today's podcast, I've got Marilou Combs with me. She is a youth mentor, a coach, and a well-being practitioner with a background in social science and over 15 years in the travel industry. Having lived in five countries and traveled the world, she brings a rich global perspective to her work, blending NLP, hypnotherapy, energetic healing, and youth mentoring. Marilou helps young people, and now coaches and practitioners unlock confidence, emotional well-being, and authentic self-expression. A proud mum of two boys, she's passionate about guiding the next generation to thrive from the inside out. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, beautiful. Thank you so much.
I'm really excited to have you here. And I remember when I put the post out on Facebook and you messaged and you said, do you talk about kids? Like, is that something you do? And I was like, absolutely. We need to get to the kids, right? We need to start young to give them the skills to go in and know who they are, right?
100%. If I got $1 for every time I had a young person say, why don't they teach me this at school? Why don't I learn this anywhere else? I would be really wealthy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, so it is. It is about teaching our young people skills, and give them the tools to be able to deal with the stresses of life, in a very practical way, in a very tangible way,
mm,
without overloading their system and
yeah,
without
and
ramming it down their throat.
true.
Mm.
It's really essential, especially in a world where we have become so disconnected. We are more connected than ever, yet more disconnected than ever.
100%.
Crazy.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we dive into some juicy bits, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us where you come from. You obviously have traveled quite a bit, so tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, well, I do tell people a lot about that because I work with a lot of kids from different backgrounds as well. And I think it's really important to bring in cultural understanding when we're dealing with young people, especially like we live in Australia. We're quite a multicultural country and we have, you know, kids from so many different backgrounds, and that culture does impact in the way that we see the world. And I
Mm,
think that's a really important lens to, peek through when we're dealing with young people as well. The culture that they get brought up in influences them a lot in a lot of ways. And for me, I wasn't born here. I came out here. We migrated to Australia when I was 10 years old.
mhm,
We came from war-torn Lebanon. And at the time,
mhm.
my family had a choice between America, Canada, and Australia. And Australia opened the borders in 1988 to immigrants, and that's where we got accepted. And I'm very grateful for that because I love this country and I have lived in the US and I have traveled to Canada and I still love Australia the most.
Yeah.
But that had a massive influence on who I am today, obviously, and also the work that I do today. And when people ask me, why do you work with youth the way that you do? It's like, I wish I had me when I was 10 years old. And what
Yeah.
people need to understand as well at the age of 10, like from the age of 9, textbook wise, it's called the coming of age.
Mm,
And what that means is when we really kind of awaken as young people, going, who am I? And am I like mum and dad? And they start questioning things. And that's when, like, society labels kids as the annoying stage or the troublemaker stage, but really what it's about, it's I'm separating my identity from mum and dad now and I'm creating my own identity. And
mm,
that starts from about the age of 9. So I came to this country at the age of 10, having my whole identity ripped away from me.
mm.
And, I didn't speak English. So back in Lebanon, back then, we had a choice to go to either French school or American school. And my mum hated English, the irony.
Right. Yeah.
So my first languages were Arabic and French, whereas now in
Mm,
Lebanon you have to learn all three languages fluently. But back then
right.
you didn't. So I came here, didn't speak English, It took me quite a while. I started learning it through songs. And lucky kids pick up things quite quickly.
Yeah.
But I struggled through that for 5 years, a good 5 years.
Mm.
It took me a while to kind of find my feet in this country. And I wish I had a mentor, or I wish there was access to the mental health and well-being that children have today. And I just always vowed that I would help kids,
Mm.
understand themselves better, because I wish I had that when I was younger.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about me and why I do the work I do today. Like, that part of my childhood really influenced that.
Mm.
And then I've been really blessed, growing up here, and doing my degree in social science. But then really I got into the travel industry, and between the ages of 24 to 30, I was on a plane almost once a month. And in between that time, like, I've lived in Brazil, I've lived in the US, I've lived in the UK, traveled quite extensively. And that travel added a lot to my education. So, like, I've got the academic education, which is great, don't get me wrong, and I worked hard for that, but my real education came from my travels. And I did solo travel in that, as a young woman, traveling in places like Morocco, or Barcelona, or
Mm.
Argentina. Like, you learn a lot of things, and you have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
learn different skills, right?
Mm.
So yeah, I just bring all of that into my teachings with young people, helping them build the confidence from a very young age. Um, and I guess also becoming a mama. I was 33 when I became a mum the first time. In my culture in particular, that's an old mum. My mum had me at 19.
Yeah.
Um, so that came with its own challenges and its own growth. And I must say, becoming a mum has been my biggest lesson and my biggest growth in,
Yeah.
what sort of person do I want to be? And even more determined of how do I make the place. I can't change the world, right? But what I can do is change my world and what I impact directly. And I am quite a selfish person because I want a better place for my children.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
that's why I do the work that I do. That's me in a little nutshell.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, you've certainly lived a full life, and I'm saying this again, and if anybody's listened to the last few episodes, they'll hear me say this. Life has set you up to do the work that you do today, right? It's
Oh,
so powerful, and how blessed
goosebumps.
we to have actually come to that realization that this is our journey and this is what we're here to do. So, yeah, thank you for doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you. And you're so spot on. Like, I'm a huge believer that whatever life gives us, whatever we go through in life, I know it's so cliche to go, it's for a purpose and it's for a reason. And people come at me with that. Like, sometimes
Mm.
people go like, what about what's happening in the Middle East right now? And I'm like, I grew up in that. I get it.
Mm.
But if I didn't go through that war, I wouldn't be who I am today. So we cannot hate on the experiences that shape us.
Yeah,
And I'm massive in that. And I'm massive in teaching young people, going, that is really crap what happened to you. I am not going to use any
that's
like
massive.
positive toxicity around that. Like, I'm not going to come at you with, oh, but you've got to feel this and you've got to just, be positive. No, it's not about that.
No.
Reality is shit happens. That's the reality. But also, the reality is it's up to us how we react to that shit that happens. And that's where we grow a muscle in not making it as bad as it needs to be.
Yeah.
Or it's like, what's the lesson in that? Or what can I do with this? Or how can I grow from this? Or, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, asking ourselves those sort of powerful questions takes us out from being in the victim mindset
Mm.
into, hey, this is really crap, but how do I empower myself in this? How do I take my power back in this?
Mm.
And I think that's a really important shift, because we live in a culture that does blame, that does look for, somebody else's fault. Like, it's a government's fault. It's my teacher's fault. It's my parents' fault. It's my friend's
Yeah.
fault. But it's like, well, how can I take ownership and responsibility of that again? I think
Yeah,
that's really
absolutely.
important.
Yeah, very important. It is. There's a lot of finger pointing, and it's time to, like the interesting one is when you point a finger, there's, fingers pointing back at you. It's always about us, right? if there's a finger pointing outwards, there's a something on the inside that's telling us that there's something up, that's we need to look at something. So you work closely, obviously, with young people. So what do you notice is about today's youth and the emotional challenges that they face? What do you think is some of the biggest ones that they're facing?
Oh, the landscape has really, really ramped up and changed in the last 6 months to a year in particular.
Yeah,
But I also do pinpoint it to lockdowns. And I
yeah,
would just even use my own children as an example where they never had iPads up until the lockdowns. And you know, you kind of touched on it right at the beginning. It's like we are more connected than ever, but we are so disconnected
yeah.
because of this online connection. And what I'm really, really, really noticing in the last 6 months with young people, you know, when I take them through processes, it's taking longer for them to actually process their issues than what it was before. And I do, through my observation, I'm relating that back to the use of technology.
Mm,
And I am all for technology. And this is the way our children are connecting with each other right now. I actually don't believe we need
mm,
to take it away.
no.
The reality is, this is the way of the world right now. But sadly, we as the adults are not equipped with having teach like how we teach them to use it. Us
Mm,
adults are not using it responsibly, let alone we've given this tool to young people, and it's like nobody really knows how to use it safely and properly.
mm,
And what we've got to understand with today's culture, with kids and the way they are connecting online, is the scroll and the dopamine hits that they're getting. And when
mm,
you are using it in that way and only getting dopamine hits surging through your body, nothing else is going to compare. Whereas,
mm,
like, say, if you go out in nature, you've got dopamine, you've got serotonin, you've got all the other good feel good hormones surging through your body, but it's equal. It doesn't give you that high and then crash, that high and that crash. And what I'm
mm,
seeing time and time again when kids come to me, their focus is a lot lower. You know, and you might want to label it, okay, ADHD, and they're on the spectrum and all of that. Again, I'm not discounting any of that, but there
mm,
is a surge, you know. And even with my own children, I'm seeing it and going, okay, how do we manage this? And bringing it back where we can involve the children in the decision making. And I'm big on showing young people how the science works. You know, saying to them, this is scientifically what's happening in your brain right now. This is scientifically what's happening in your body right now. Is this what you want to continue with? It is a choice now. And what do you want to do?
mm,
And you know, these bad moods that happen and stuff, again, it is so related to a lot of this. Like, and I see the correlation. You know, I give young people home play after sessions that they need to go and implement, right? Because change doesn't happen without action. Knowledge is not power, action is power. And so I'm like, you've got to go do this home play. They'll come to me 2 weeks later, they haven't done the home play. And I'm like, so how do you expect the change? And when we track what they've been doing, scrolling and being online is a big part of what they've been doing. They cannot be
mm,
motivated to do anything else. So it's like almost become this is the thing we need to work on and break. But it's this catch 22 because if they're not on it, how do they stay connected with their friends? But then they're
yeah,
on it and they don't go out and connect in real person. It's like almost they don't know how to anymore.
yeah.
But this is a real problem happening right now. And I just, yeah, I don't have a foolproof solution for it yet. But
Mm,
my way of dealing with it is continue to communicate, 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 communicate with these young people, hold them accountable and responsible for
mm,
the decisions and choices that they're making, and constantly giving the brain evidence of what is happening, like what is the consequence of whatever action you take,
mm,
whichever way it goes. Like evidence is like, oh, how did you feel after that? Look at how your body feels, look how your brain feels after the technology versus how do you when you go outside or when you connect in real life and can continue to talk about it and hold them accountable and responsible for the actions that they're taking.
yeah. So essentially, what you're doing is you're bringing awareness,
Absolutely.
bringing
Everything starts with
awareness.
awareness.
Yeah.
My favorite
Yeah.
favorite thing I say is 50% of your problem is solved by just being aware. Because you
Mm,
can't change anything if you've got no awareness, right?
Yeah,
From
absolutely.
awareness, we go and gain knowledge.
Mm,
We start researching, we gain knowledge, and everybody thinks, oh, I'm so powerful. I know this. It's like, what are you doing with the knowledge now? How are you
mm,
putting that into action? Because once you take those actions and those steps, embodiment happens, and then you create new habits. And then things start shifting and changing. But until we take that action, nothing changes.
yeah, very true.
And it's yeah, and this is what I love. But look, I must say, working with young people, so much easier than adults. They're not layered. They don't have all the conditioning of years and years and years and years, right?
No.
So it is easier in that way as long
Yeah,
as the child buys in. And when I say buy in, they are committed to wanting to
yeah,
do this work. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't work with kids whose parents have forced them to do it, who've given
yeah.
them
It's got to, yeah,
ultimatums. The child needs to say, yes, Mary Lou, I want to work with you.
yeah.
And then the magic starts to happen.
That's true. But that even that's, that counts for adults as well. I mean, how
Hmm.
many adults are out there saying they want to change, but they don't actually want to change? There's, yeah, in any case,
I
but
know.
with kids, that's another rabbit hole. Let's not go down that one.
No,
Um,
absolutely. People go, don't work with animals and children. And I'm like, bring all the animals and children. So much
bring
easier
all
to
the,
work with.
yeah, I actually had, obviously with two girls, one is 19 and one is 15 and a half. Um, you, I think we're in a fortunate position where we've got more awareness than just, the average parent
Mm,
out there because of the work we do. So we can actually see and pinpoint when certain things are happening in their life, and we can bring awareness to
yeah.
the block that it's going to create, the pattern that it's going to create. So what I want to switch over to the parents just for a moment and
Hmm.
and ask you, what is your advice? What would you say to parents? How can they implement to bring that balance into the house? Like you were talking just then about, being out in nature and then also having the devices. How can parents implement that balance into their homes?
What a fantastic question. And I actually do have a really simple answer. A lot of parents don't like it. Again, because as a society, we are trained to look outside of us rather than go
Mm,
inwards. If this is my simple thing to you, and I practice this at home constantly, I'm not perfect in it because we're all human and we're all growing and learning all the time. And I want to do a disclaimer. I am my biggest guinea pig. Like I
yeah.
do the work on me before I go out there and, share it with anybody else, which I think
Yeah.
is really, really important. But the number one thing parents can do, walk your talk. You want your child to do something, you want your child to be calm, learn yourself to be calm. You want your child to be confident, learn yourself to be confident. And I know that sounds so cliched and so simple and so easy, like, oh, yeah, of course. But the amount of, and I'm talking this was like from 8, 9, 10 years ago when I started coaching with young people, I would have, mums bring their daughters to me in particular around confidence, around self, image, body image, and stuff like that. I'll have this amazing session with this young person, and the mum comes to pick them up, and the mum starts crapping on themselves. And I'm like, you've just undone all the work that we just did in that 1 hour. Like, how is your daughter going to go home and be confident in themselves when you've just crapped on your body, or you crapped on your
Mm,
looks, or you crapped on your ability to do stuff?
yeah.
What are your children listening to? What are your children witnessing in the household? We
Mm,
want all these things for our kids. And I'm sorry to say, like, my question to you as a parent, do you do it for yourself? And then if the answer is yes, continue to do that. You want your kids to take, like for me, the technology thing I was talking about. I'm like, I looked at myself and went, how much am I on my phone for?
mm,
And yes, I go to my children, oh, but I'm here for work. Well, set time for work to be on your phone.
mm,
And, I even caught myself the other day when they weren't around. I was having breakfast and I go on my phone to scroll my Facebook whilst having breakfast. But here I am telling them, get off your
mm,
phone when you're eating because your brain and your stomach are disconnected and the receptors are disconnected when you're eating to know when you're full, all that sort of stuff. but here I am doing it. And so how can
Mm,
I get upset with them as a parent when I, as an adult, am doing the same thing, even when they're not around? Energetically, as parents, we need
yeah.
to catch ourselves in that way. That's
Mm,
the biggest thing I can say because that one thing shifts everything else.
yeah.
Because children do not just speak words, children speak energy, and they don't do what you tell them to do, they do what they see you doing. So it's so important, so important.
Mm.
And some people might go, oh, yeah, 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 I do that. Pay attention. I even called myself out on it, honestly.
Yeah, but that's good, right? We have to, like you said, even though we teach these things, we're also human. Like there's so many days where I do stuff in the house and then I go, oh my God, I'm like, that's gonna cause a block. I better clean this up now. I better tell
But
them
well
that
done. But that's
that
the
thing that I've
awareness,
just done,
right?
yeah, that's the awareness. I
Yeah.
will call it out. If I say something or do something, I will go, you know what? That was wrong of me to say that. I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. Or if I see that with their friends or within themselves, I call them out. So,
But see, that's exactly what I'm talking about, and that's the modeling part.
yeah.
Children do not need perfect parents. In
Mm.
fact, if your children have never seen you throw a tantrum, yell, have a meltdown, in my opinion, you're not doing parenting right because what you've set your child up for is to think that's a perfect world and they need to be this perfect
Yeah.
hold it all together person, which is not realistic. And
No,
what we've
it's
just taught
not.
the child to do is completely disconnect from all the other emotions unless they're perfect or shove it down. And then
Yeah.
what's going to happen with that? A volcano will erupt. Like my proudest moment, to be honest, this last week was when I was having a meltdown and I just needed to sob it out. And for me, when I cry it out, it removes all that energy. I shake it out and I just have to sob in my pillow. It's brilliant. For me, it's just how I release, right? My 12-year-old walked in on me. Now, a lot of parents would go, oh, don't allow your children to see you like that.
Mm,
Well, I'm not going to hide that though either because I was feeling that in the moment. And energetically, he'll
yeah.
feel it anyway if I did try to hide it. And then he wouldn't be able to put words to it. He
Yeah.
walked in on me and he went, oh, good job, mum. Let it all out.
Yeah, good.
I'm
That's
like,
beautiful.
I've
Yeah.
parented well that if he can say that to me, that tells me I've held that space for him to let it all out when he needs to let it all out.
Yeah.
And there's no shame around feeling the feels because we need to feel the
Yeah.
feels in order to heal the feels.
Absolutely. And it's about taking responsibility for your actions as well, right? So maybe in that moment, it's not about you in that moment for you to take responsibility for your actions. You expressed emotion. But when we do get angry or we say something and we react in the moment, we can, go away, we can process it, we can come
Mm.
back and say, right, let's just sit down and talk about this. Let me take responsibility for what I've
Yes,
just done. So
yes,
it's teaching them by example, right?
a
It's leading
hundred
by example.
percent, 100%, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. So for parents who are struggling or watching their child shut down, okay, so I think that's for any teenager, they're going to go through that shutdown stage, but I think
Hmm.
there's a lot of sensitive children. We'll get to the sensitive children just now. But for people who are struggling with this teenager or with this child that shuts down rather than processing,
Mm.
what can you recommend? How can they start rebuilding a connection with that child that is shutting down?
Listen, learn to really hold space. I don't think people really understand what holding space is.
Mm,
Learn to listen rather than learn to listen to your child rather than your own conditioning of wanting to jump in, fix,
mm,
make it better. Like so many parents that come to see me, it's because they want to make their children feel better. I'm
yeah.
like, but what does your child's anxiety say to you about you?
Mm,
And, as a parent, what we go through is your unhappiness means that I've not done a good job. Or your naughtiness means that I've not done a good job. We make it about
mm,
us in that way.
yeah.
The only thing about us is our own actions and feelings. And in the teenage years in particular, when they shut down, we need to understand that it is developmental. It is not about us. And
Mm.
whatever triggers come up in us is a gift to go inwards, right?
Yeah.
This is the way I explain it for myself. And my children are my biggest healers. They are my biggest healers. They are the biggest instigators of how I started all of this. Yeah, when I had my first, I did not know that I had celiac. And I went through such a massive health journey with all the things. And I won't go into the details, but it was a massive spiral down for me. Yeah, postnatal depression, anxiety. My body was messed up. I wasn't getting the nutrients that I needed.
Mm.
And I really struggled with my first, like he was 6 weeks early, but didn't want to come out for 4 days. And what a gift
Wow.
he gave me because he made me come back to psychology. He made me come back to understanding myself, healing myself, and then helping others to do that. And what a gift that is, right? And I look at that and go, through that experience, I go with every stage that we've been through, whether it's a toddler stage, the newborn stage, the toddler stage, whatever. Our children are these little reflection button pushers in us that go, hey, mum, dad, did you heal that? Let me see. Let me
Yeah.
test you out. And in adolescence in particular, in the coaching world and the healing world, we talk a lot about the inner child. But
Mm.
this last year, because I've got a 14 and a 12-year-old, so I'm walking through it right now. Like I call them the walking hormones. And it's not the only walking hormones with them. I'm at an age when I'm going through perimenopause. So we've got double walking hormones from like puberty and perimenopause together. So you can
Yeah.
imagine the fun in this house.
Yeah.
And I kind of just go, it's not just the inner child. Like we talk a lot about inner child healing, but we don't focus at all in this space about the inner adolescence. And when you start having a teenager in the house, let me tell you, be prepared for the inner adolescence work that you need to do about yourself.
Yeah.
And the more we do that work for ourselves with, once when our teenagers are going through it, like when our children are teenagers,
Mm.
it is phenomenal the connection you can have with your teen. Like I've got two boys. They come to me about so much. I'm not going to say everything because I don't know,
No. Yeah.
but they do come to me about so much. And do we fight? Yes. Do we sometimes have yelling matches? Yes. Do I sometimes wish like, oh my God, I don't even want to be a mum right now? Absolutely. I'm not going to lie about any of that because I don't believe anybody wouldn't go through that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's different levels of calm parents. I get it. But we all go through our moments where like this is too much. And that's only human. To deny that is to deny the experience. But in answer to your question, how do we deal with that with our children? Again, it's about calming the farm inside of us and not making it about us. I've had my boys, especially well, I won't say who, but I've had my boys, and one of them in particular is like, I hate you. I wish you were never my mum. Now, that can really hurt.
Yeah. It does.
And
Yeah.
then, at first it was like, rah, 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 how dare you speak to me like that? But then I'm like, what is going on for you to speak to me like that?
Mm.
And you saying that, it's got nothing to do with me.
Mm.
Yeah, it's got to do with where are you in life and how are you perceiving whatever is going on for you as me, as your mother.
Mm.
And then there's certain things I would look at and go, whoa, like, your child could be going, like my children went through stuff with friendship, especially early on.
Yeah.
When my youngest was like around the 4, 5 age group, like he just didn't connect with kids as much. I think he just played with spirits a lot more, to be honest with you,
Mm.
and had his, whatever out there that, imaginary friends that he would play with.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, oh my goodness, what's going on for him and how do we get him more social? And I went, hang on a minute. Why am I making this about me?
Mm.
What was I like at that age? What do I need to heal within me? And when I went inwards and cleared that for myself, guess what? Cleared and gone for him.
Yeah.
And what often we do as parents is when our child is going through something, we make it about us. They need
Mm.
to open up so I can feel good about myself that I'm doing a good job enough as a parent. And we need to stop that. And we need to hold that space and go, what is really going on for you here? Like, my son 2 days ago went, just get out of my room. I do not want to talk. I'm like, cool. When you are ready, I just want you to know I'm down there.
Yeah.
And I might come in and check in on you in about 15, 20 minutes just to make sure you're okay because I love you and I want to know
Mm.
you're okay. and then
Yeah.
just leave them and give them that space. And you'd be surprised. My son then within 5 minutes, he actually came into me. I didn't have to come back and check in on him.
Yeah, it's true.
And, as parents, we go in and always want to give advice because, we're 40 something years old and we know it all and we've been through all of that. And we want to
Mm.
save our children from having the pain that we grew up with when we were growing up. I was talking to a
Mm.
mum today and, she was sharing about her daughter and friendships and how she doesn't fit in. And I'm like, did you fit in at that age? What was it like for you at that age? We forget.
Yeah.
And, do our children have the rites of passage to go through their ups and downs? They
Mm.
need it. They need it because that's what will shape them to be the resilient humans that they'll become.
Yeah.
So that's a
I think
long answer to your question, but
no, it's
it's a massive thing. It's a massive thing. And I think we need to stop going in as parents to fix our children. Our children are not broken. There's nothing to fix. They are going through a human experience that we need to just acknowledge it for that.
mm,
And whatever it brings in for us, look at that for yourself and
yeah.
heal that. And then it'll go
Yeah.
a lot more smoothly, I promise.
Yeah. It's very true. And I'd like to just drop something in there too. So even though as parents we might have the answer, we might know what
Yeah,
they need to do next, it's important for us to not always jump in and try and fix it. We've got to step back and they've got to experience it for themselves because they've got to build up the resilience. They've got to build up the ability to be able to say no to their friends or to handle difficult situations.
100%.
I've had a similar situation with my youngest daughter as well. Not quite like yours, like don't want to see you right now. Essentially, it is. I don't want to see you right now, but
Hmm.
there's some other things around that. But I had to just accept it and allow it. But in that moment of accepting, it was also, I had to sit with my hurt and go, that hurts,
A
you
hundred
know?
percent. Yeah.
What you just did is like it's hurtful, right? Didn't say it to her, but that was my feelings coming up. So there's always something it's always happening for us.
100%. And we've got
So
to
yeah.
remember as well when children are going through the stress and we go in at that moment to try and fix, they're not in this headspace where they're going to receive it. The frontal cortex, like they are in a trauma response almost. Like it shuts down that part of their brain to think logically. So us going in with the solutions, they're not going to receive that anyway. And all they're going to unconsciously be hearing is, I'm a problem, I'm not good enough, whatever that meaning they might want to
Yeah.
put to that, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's just better to zip it.
Yeah.
And I always ask my boys like a really powerful question. Like that's why I love coaching so much because asking questions is so much more empowering and it gets them to think about the answer. Like if I gave you the answer, you're going to remember it
Mm.
like a 4% capacity of your brain. But if I actually ask you a question to help you get to the answer yourself, it is going to have much lasting effect. But a big
Yeah.
thing that I say to my boys, how would you like me to help you with that? What
Mm.
do you need from me right now?
Yeah. That's a powerful question. Yeah.
Really powerful questions, right? And then it puts them in the driver's seat of their emotions, their problem, their whatever. And this is why my boys come to me so much. Hey, mum, what do you think I should do? And rather than go, I've got the answer, it's like, well, what are your choices? What is it that you want to do? How does your heart feel about that? I love talking about the heart a lot
Mm.
because we think with our head so much and we don't feel as much. And it's like, so what does your heart tell you about this? If the noise stopped, what would your heart, what does your gut, what does your body say?
Mm.
And they're really powerful questions. And, having kids to reconnect with that rather than the shoulds is a really powerful tool.
Mm. Very, very powerful questions. So I want to continue with this conversation and dive into our super sensitive, empathic children, and how, as adults, as parents, we can better understand them and support them. What is your advice for parents around that?
Well, as a highly sensitive woman sitting in front of you, I
Yeah,
feel all the feels. And, I've always been labeled as you're just too sensitive, toughen up. Please don't use
yeah,
those words with your children.
yeah,
they're born that way for a reason, and we need more of these beautiful, sensitive children. And they've come in to actually help us change the world, and understand our feelings a lot better.
Mm,
And I do get to see a lot of sensitive children, and it's always the parents that have an issue with it because, again, what did I say? They make it about them. If my
mm,
child is always falling apart, that means I'm not doing a good enough job. And
yeah.
our job as parents is for us to not fall apart.
Mm,
And it's about learning how to give them tools of what situations do our children want to put themselves into, and
mm,
what meaning do we put to those big emotions. Emotions are just energy in motion, but we label everything with either good or bad.
yeah.
Like I said to you before, I cry to release. And I
Yeah.
used to think that was so bad. And I used to think I was so weak. And I want to be like the tough people who can hold it in and not cry in front of people or not tear up over, a puppy being hurt or like I used to cry at anything in the movies, right? That had a bit of
Oh, yeah, I'm the
sensitivity
same.
to it, right? So I'm like this highly sensitive person, like, and I own it now. But it took me 46 years to own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think that is my biggest superpower. And so the way
Mhm.
I do, and I do have a lot of sensitive kids come to see me because we do attract also who we are. I feel like in our work,
Mm,
um, and it's about making them aware. For one, what I do with children is make them aware: is it your energy or somebody else's energy that you're picking up?
mm,
How do you clear your field around that? How do you set intentions around that? And really
mm,
helping them seeing it as their superpower. And then
mm.
how do you want to move that energy? Because energy, it's just energy that needs to be moved. So if you're picking up and
Yeah.
feeling really sad a lot as a young person, one, is it yours? Is it somebody else's energy?
Mm.
That's a massive one because I used to feel all these feels, and then I learned that it's not my stuff. It's just energy
Yeah.
that
Oh,
when I walk into a room, and what a beautiful superpower that is. Like if I knew how to read that when I walked in rather than make it about me and that I'm depressed or there's something wrong with me or that I'm anxious.
yeah.
And it's about just pausing and taking the moment to ask yourself those questions and get in tune with your body.
Yeah.
And you know what? People go, oh, but can you really teach that to a young person? Oh, let me tell you, I used to go
Oh, you can.
into kinders and schools and work with kids as young as 4 and 5 doing yoga and meditation and mindfulness. And 5 year olds, 4 year olds know how to do this.
Yeah, it is.
And you
Yeah.
know what I said to you before, my 12-year-old, that is a testament. He's been doing yoga with me since he was 3 weeks old on the mat.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So him being aware and go, cry out, mummy, good job. Kids do get it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And that's why I love teaching it to them. The younger, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We've got this awareness in the house when, because it's obviously three women in the house. So if somebody gets a headache or somebody's got stomach ache or anything, we don't take it on as our own. We'll check
Yeah.
in with the people around us and go, for instance, I had a hysterectomy years ago, so I don't have my period anymore, but
Mm.
I will often pick up on their period pain, and then I would
Yeah.
check in with them rather than taking it on as my own stomach ache. So we've
Brilliant.
created, yeah, we've created that energy in the home. So obviously that's part of my teachings and the things that I
Mm.
bring to the world. So I am loving this conversation so much. I am mindful of the time though. So before we kind of close off this conversation, um, tell us, how can people reach you? How can they work with you? Share a little bit about that. I will obviously have it in the show notes for people, but yeah, how can people work with you? Where can they find you?
So a year ago, I actually got hacked and
Oh,
lost everything, everything I'd built for the last 10 years. So I've started rebuilding, but in that beautiful, beautiful cleanse, because that's what I see it as. It's like a fresh start. And I've been reborn in a lot of ways because my business name has been reborn. Like I'm really focused on what I do. So my business name now is Empowered Youth Coaching Academy. I do work one-on-one with kids and their families, but I am also training other coaches to do the work that I do because we need it. I can't do
yeah,
this mission on my own.
Yeah.
So if you look up Empowered Youth Coaching Academy, connect with me on Facebook, connect with me on Instagram. A website is coming soon. It's actually being built as we speak.
Mhm.
I'm working with a fabulous person on that. And yeah, just reach out to me that way. If you have any questions, if you want answers to things that we haven't delved into, or you want clarification on anything, please reach out. Like, I'm an open book. And come follow me on my page because I share quite a bit. And like I said, I'm my own guinea pig. So
Yeah,
I'll share with
beautiful.
you what works for me, and what doesn't work. And we're always, just be gentle on yourself, and we're all evolving and we're all growing. It's part of that human experience.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. All right. So last question. I want to actually, I obviously ask it usually for the person I'm interviewing, but I want to put this towards the kids, the children. Is there one piece of wisdom that you want to give any young people? So if any young people are listening or any parents share this episode with young people, is there anything that you can share with them that will help life just become a little bit easier for them?
Yeah, stop listening to the crap that everybody else tells you,
Yes.
especially society, about your identity, about um, your traumas, about your diseases, about your labels. Just stop listening to all of that and go inwards. You are the most powerful person in your life.
Mm,
And whatever you tell yourself is your truth. And I love saying this to young people. If you think you're dumb, is that true? Now, a lot of people will go, no. And I go, but it is. And they'll look at me and go, what? You're saying I'm dumb? I'm like, no, but if you believe it about yourself, then you are. Because no matter how beautiful I tell you you are, no matter how smart I tell you you are, you kind of just go, oh, thanks. And that's your ego. But then you go back home and you look in the mirror and you go, I'm dumb. And that becomes your truth. So
mm,
be really mindful what you tell yourself and what you believe about yourself, and ask yourself the question, is that really true? And if it
mm,
is, how do I know it's true? Oh, I failed my maths exam, so that's why I know I'm dumb. Well, could you have done something then better to change it?
mm.
And that is really powerful, and it just makes young people see themselves in a very different light and the way that they speak to themselves. And again, empowerment. That's why, like, I know that word has become quite cliche now, and I've picked it for my business, but it really is about being empowered, and empowered is
Yeah.
within. And that's what I really, really, really wish for our young people. And there's a lot of young people doing amazing things in the world.
Mm,
Just because you're young doesn't mean you don't know. You actually are such a
yeah.
beautiful, intuitive being.
Mm,
And, I really invite you as a young person to come back to that, really come
mm,
back to that and think about these awesome times that you're being born in with all these tools at your fingertip, and what can you do with it to make not only your life better, but the world a better place, because it all starts within. And just because you're
yeah.
young doesn't mean you don't have the power to do it. Just reach out and find. I mean, more than ever now, we've got more mentoring, more mental health support in schools,
Mm,
more activities available for our young people. So, no excuse. If a young person is listening to this, no excuse. You are just as powerful as an adult can be.
yeah, absolutely. They can make a big difference within their peer group. This is not about them teaching adults anything, although we learn from them all the time, but they can make such a big difference. And I know both my girls have been through some really dramatic things within
Yeah.
their peer groups, and they've had to step up in really big ways. So I'm really proud of them. But yeah,
Mm,
really powerful information, and thank you for sharing that last tip for kids. Marilou, it was really, really beautiful to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us.
thank you.
I know that there's a lot of value in here for parents and for kids, so I'm trusting that this episode will reach the people that need to hear it. So thank you
I
so much for
agree.
joining me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us on this episode. A quick reminder that Spiritual AI, the Authentic Intelligence, is available on Amazon. And the conversation that we had today in the podcast about turning inwards, awareness and intuition are two of the
Mm,
skills that we really need to get to our children, because they are going to guide them in such beautiful and big ways. And in one of the chapters, I actually talk about awareness in and with our children, and there's some really powerful exercises in here that you can take and use with your children. So go and grab a copy and read it with your children. It's actually really, I've written it in a way that is easy for children to understand. So if you don't have a copy yet, go and grab it and use it, because it will definitely make your life a lot easier. All right. Thank you again, Marilou. I will see you guys on the next episode. Take care.